Before you close your eyes tonight, there is something still following you. It is not the noise around you, it is the noise within you. The conversations that never ended, the thoughts that kept returning, the quiet pressure you carried through the day and never had the chance to lay down. This moment right here is not just the end of your day. It is a threshold, a sacred line between everything you tried to hold together and everything you no longer have to carry. You do not need to solve anything right now. You do not need to fix what feels unfinished. You do not need to replay what already passed. What you need is permission to stop holding it all. Let your breathing slow down, not forced, not controlled, just allowed. Feel your body begin to release what your mind has been gripping so tightly. God is not asking you to come with perfect thoughts. He is not waiting for you to organize your worries before you approach Him. He is here in this exact moment, ready to receive what you have been carrying all day. Psalm 4, verse 8 says, "In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety." This is where your night changes, not when everything is resolved, but when everything is surrendered. And as you begin to let go, you may start to notice something else. Not silence yet, but the echoes of everything you brought with you into this night. You can feel it now that everything is quiet. The echoes are still there, not loud, not chaotic, but present. Subtle thoughts that return without warning. Moments from the day replaying in fragments. Words you wish you had said differently. Situations that did not resolve the way you hoped. This is what follows you into the night. Not just memories, but unfinished emotional weight. The kind that settles in your chest without asking permission. The kind that keeps your mind slightly alert, even when your body is tired. And maybe you tried to ignore it. Maybe you told yourself it would pass. But the night has a way of bringing truth to the surface. When everything slows down, what is hidden begins to speak. You are not weak for feeling this. You are not failing because your mind is still holding on. You are human, carrying more than you were meant to carry alone. But here is what matters now. You do not have to take these echoes with you into sleep. You do not have to let them shape your rest or define your night. God sees what is replaying in your mind. He understands what you have not been able to release, and He is not distant from it. He is present, right here, ready to take what keeps returning to you. Psalm 55 verse 22 says, "Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you. He will never allow the righteous to be shaken." This is your moment to begin that release. Not all at once, not perfectly, but intentionally. Because what comes next is even deeper. It is not just what you carried into the night. It is what your mind refuses to let go of. There are moments like this when your body is ready to sleep, but your mind keeps moving. Thought after thought, without pause. You try to quiet it, but it finds something new to hold on to. A concern about tomorrow, a detail you forgot, a possibility you cannot control. It is not just thinking, it is a cycle. The more you try to stop it, the more it resists. And slowly, rest begins to feel distant, like something just out of reach. This is where many people stay trapped, not because they lack faith, but because their mind has learned to stay alert, as if resting means losing control. But listen carefully, you are not called to manage everything through the night. You are not designed to stay mentally awake to protect what God is already holding. Isaiah 26 verse 3 says, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are stayed on you, because they trust in you." Peace is not the absence of thoughts. It is the presence of trust. It is what happens when your mind no longer feels responsible for holding everything together. Right now you can begin to loosen that grip. Not by force, but by shifting where your trust is placed. You do not need to follow every thought. You do not need to answer every question your mind brings. You can let them pass without attaching yourself to them. God is not overwhelmed by what is in your mind. He is not confused by what you cannot solve. He is steady, constant, and present, even as your thoughts move. And as you begin to step back from the cycle, you may start to see something clearly. The weight you feel is not just from your thoughts, it is from something deeper. It is the need to control what was never yours to carry. All week long, you held things together the best you could. You made decisions, solved problems, anticipated outcomes. You tried to stay ahead, to prevent what could go wrong, to manage what felt uncertain. And without noticing, something settled inside you. The quiet belief that everything depends on you. That if you let go, things might fall apart. That rest can wait, but control cannot. This is the weight that does not leave easily. Not because it is true, but because it feels necessary. But look at what it has cost you. The tension in your body, the constant alertness, the inability to fully rest, even when the day is over. Control promises security, but it delivers exhaustion. Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6 say, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight." There is a difference between responsibility and control. Responsibility is what you are given to do. Control is what you were never meant to carry. Tonight, you are being invited to recognize that difference. You did what you could today. You showed up, you tried. That is where your responsibility ends. What happens next does not depend on your constant awareness. It does not require your mind to stay active through the night. God does not need your control to sustain what concerns you. He is already working in places you cannot reach. And as you begin to release this illusion, something new begins to open within you. Because this moment is not just about letting go. It is about stepping into something deeper. Holy Week is not just something you observe, it is something you enter. This is where everything shifts, not around you, but within you. Holy Week is not just a moment on a calendar. It is not something distant that you watch from the outside. It is an invitation into a deeper surrender, a quieter trust, a closer walk with God that begins right here, in this moment. Before anything else unfolds this week, it begins in your heart. It begins in your willingness to release what you have been holding, to soften what has been tense, to bring your whole self, not just the strong parts, but the tired, uncertain, and restless parts, into God's presence. This is the path Jesus walked, not one of control, but of surrender, not one of resistance, but of trust, even when the outcome was not easy. And tonight, you are not just ending your day. You are stepping into that same posture. Luke 22 verse 42 says, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." This is the beginning. Not perfection, not complete peace all at once, but a decision. A decision to let this week be different, to stop carrying everything alone, to walk each day with a quieter heart and a deeper trust that God is already ahead of you. You do not need to understand everything that will happen this week. You only need to enter it with surrender, and that surrender does not begin with effort. It begins with a gentle yes, a quiet willingness to let go, little by little, because what comes next is not pressure. It is an invitation. There is no force here, no demand, no pressure to release everything at once. Just an invitation. God is not pulling things out of your hands. He is opening His, waiting for you to place what you are ready to release. Gently, honestly, without fear of doing it the wrong way. You do not have to be strong right now. You do not have to hold everything together for one more moment. You are allowed to loosen your grip. Start with what feels closest, the thought that keeps returning, the concern that sits heavier than the rest, the feeling you have been trying to ignore. Bring it here. You can say it in your own words, or simply feel it as you offer it. God understands what is unspoken. He receives what is incomplete. 1 Peter 5 verse 7 says, "Cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you." Not some of it, not only the parts you can explain, all of it. And as you begin to place these things into His hands, something subtle begins to happen. The weight does not disappear all at once, but it begins to shift. What was once tight begins to loosen. What was once heavy begins to lift. You are not losing control. You are being relieved of what was never yours to carry. Stay here for a moment. Do not rush this. Let the act of releasing become real within you, Because as you open this space, something deeper will rise. The things you never said, the ones you kept inside. There are things you carried today that never became words, feelings you pushed aside, thoughts you silenced before they could fully form. Not because they were unimportant, but because there was no space to hold them. But they did not disappear. They stayed within you, quiet but present, shaping the way you felt, the way you reacted, the way you carried yourself through the day. And now, in this stillness, they begin to surface. Not all at once, but enough for you to notice. A heaviness you cannot fully explain, a tension that has no clear source, a quiet discomfort that has been waiting for this moment of silence. You do not need to hide this from God. Psalm 62 verse 8 says, "Trust in Him at all times, you people. Pour out your hearts before Him. God is our refuge. Pour out your heart." Not the polished version, not the controlled version, the real one. If there was frustration, you can bring it. If there was fear, you can bring it. If there was disappointment, confusion, or even silence, you can bring that too. God is not intimidated by what you feel. He is not distant from your internal world. He is your refuge, not only for what you show, but for what you have kept hidden. You are safe to be honest here. And as you begin to release even these deeper layers, you may start to realize something important. Some of the things you are holding do not have a solution. Not tonight, maybe not even tomorrow. And that is where surrender becomes something even deeper. There are things in your life that do not respond to effort. Situations that remain unchanged no matter how much you think about them. Questions that do not have clear answers. Outcomes that are not in your control. And still, your mind returns to them, trying to solve, to predict, to protect. But some burdens were never meant to be fixed by you. They were meant to be handed over. This is where surrender becomes real. Not when you release what is easy, but when you place into God's hands what you cannot change. Matthew 11 verses 28 and 29 say, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." Rest is not found in solving everything. It is found in trusting someone who already holds the outcome. Right now, bring to mind what has been weighing on you the most. The situation that keeps returning. The one you wish you could resolve. And instead of trying one more time to understand it, release it. Not as an act of defeat, but as an act of trust. You are not abandoning it. You are placing it into hands that are more capable than yours. God is not limited by what limits you. He sees what you cannot see. He moves where you cannot reach. Let that be enough for this moment. Because what often remains after this is something even more subtle. Not problems, but pressure. Expectations you have been carrying without even realizing. There is a kind of pressure that does not come from circumstances, but from within. The expectation to do more, to be better, to not fall behind. The quiet demand to meet standards that no one clearly defined, yet you feel responsible to reach. It follows you through the day and lingers into the night. Even now, as you try to rest, there is a part of you still measuring, still evaluating, still asking if you did enough. This weight is not always visible, but it is heavy. You were not created to live under constant self-pressure. You were not designed to carry the burden of perfection or the fear of not being enough. Galatians 6 verse 9 says, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." There is a difference between faithfulness and pressure. Faithfulness is steady, quiet, and rooted in trust. Pressure is urgent, demanding, and rooted in fear. Tonight, you are invited to release that pressure. You do not need to prove anything right now. You do not need to evaluate your worth based on what you accomplished today. God is not measuring you the way you measure yourself. He sees your heart, your effort, your intentions, even in the moments where you feel you fell short. Let that be enough. Let the need to meet every expectation soften. Let the constant inner demand lose its hold. You are allowed to rest without earning it. And as this weight begins to lift, you may notice something else beneath it. the discomfort of things left unfinished, moments without closure, spaces still open. There are parts of your day that did not close the way you wanted, conversations that ended without resolution, tasks left incomplete, situations still open, waiting for an outcome you cannot yet see. And even now, your mind tries to return to them, as if staying aware will somehow bring them to completion. But unfinished does not mean out of God's reach. Revelation 3 verse 8 says, "I know your deeds. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut." What feels incomplete to you is not unattended by God. What remains open in your life is not outside His control. You do not need to carry these unfinished parts into your sleep as if your awareness will sustain them. God works in what is still in progress. He moves in what has not yet been resolved. He is present in what you cannot finish today. Right now, you can begin to release even this: the need for closure, the discomfort of not knowing, the tension of waiting. You can allow these open spaces to rest in God's hands just as they are. You are not leaving them behind. You are placing them in a place where they are held with care, with purpose, and with a perspective greater than your own. Let what is unfinished remain with God tonight, because something shifts when you do. It is not just that you release what you carry. It is that God begins to hold what you have released. Something changes the moment you truly let go. Not always in what you see, but in what you carry. What was once in your hands is no longer dependent on your strength. What once required your constant attention is now held by God with a steadiness you do not need to maintain. This is where trust becomes real. Psalm 121 verses 3 and 4 say, "He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep." While you rest, God remains attentive. While your mind quiets, His care does not pause. What you release does not drift into uncertainty. It is held, sustained, and watched over with intention. You are not losing control. You are being covered by something greater than control. Let this settle within you. You do not need to take back what you already placed in His hands. You do not need to revisit it, rethink it, or secure it again. God is not fragile with what you give Him. He is faithful. And as this truth begins to take root, something else becomes possible. Not just release, but peace. A peace that does not depend on resolution. A peace that begins to cover not just your thoughts, but your entire night. Now let this moment deepen. This is not just about what you released. It is about what now takes its place. Peace is not something you create. It is something that comes from God and begins to settle over you, gently but completely. John 14 verse 27 says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid." This peace does not depend on silence around you. It does not require everything to be resolved. It comes even when life is still unfolding. Let it begin to cover your mind. Where there was tension, let there be calm. Where there was restlessness, let there be stillness. Where there was fear, let there be quiet trust. You are not trying to force peace. You are allowing it. Let it move through your thoughts, slowing them down. Let it settle into your body, releasing what was tight. Let it reach the places that felt unsettled just moments ago. God's peace is not distant. It is present, active, and near to you right now. And as this peace begins to surround you, there is something your heart needs to understand. You are safe to rest, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer carrying it alone. There is a part of you that still stays alert, even now, as if resting means letting something slip, as if sleep requires you to release a level of awareness that feels unsafe to abandon. But listen carefully. You are allowed to rest without fear. You are not responsible for holding everything together through the night. You are not required to stay mentally present to protect what God is already watching over. Psalm 127 verse 2 says, "In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for He grants sleep to those He loves." Sleep is not something you must earn. It is something God gives. You do not need to monitor your life while you rest. You do not need to stay prepared for what might happen. God is already present in every moment you cannot control. Let that belief begin to loosen. You are safe to release vigilance. Safe to let your thoughts slow down without needing to follow them. Safe to allow your body to fully rest without resistance. Nothing that truly matters will be lost because you chose to rest tonight. God does not step away when you close your eyes. He remains steady, watchful, faithful. And as you begin to accept this, your body can follow. The tension can soften. The need to stay alert can fade. The quiet resistance to sleep can begin to dissolve. You are not letting go into uncertainty. You are resting into God's care. And from here, something gentle begins to happen. Not effort, not control, but a quiet drifting into rest. Now there is nothing left to hold. Your thoughts no longer need to lead. Your body no longer needs to resist. You are not trying to rest anymore. You are allowing yourself to be carried into it. Feel the quiet settling in. Not forced, not sudden, but gentle, like a slow release of everything that was once tense. Your breathing becomes softer. Your mind becomes lighter. The weight you carried is no longer pressing against you. You are not alone in this moment. Psalm 3 verse 5 says, I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. Even as you drift, you are sustained. Even as your awareness fades, you are held. There is nothing you need to return to. Nothing you need to pick back up. What was released remains with God. Let your thoughts become fewer. Let the spaces between them grow wider. Let your body sink deeper into rest. You do not need to guide this process. You can let go completely. God is present in this stillness, not distant, not watching from afar, but near, surrounding you with quiet care. Rest is no longer something you are reaching for. It is something you are entering. And as you continue to drift, there is one truth that remains. This night is no longer yours to carry. This night does not belong to your worries anymore. What you carried into this moment has been placed into God's hands. What once felt heavy is no longer resting on you. What once demanded your attention is no longer yours to sustain. You are not going to sleep holding everything together. Psalm 4 verse 8 says, In peace I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Let that truth settle deeply within you. Nothing that truly matters is slipping away. Nothing that belongs in God's care is left unattended. While you rest, He remains. While you sleep, He sustains. You are covered. You are watched over. You are not alone in this night. There is no need to return to what you already surrendered. No need to reopen what has been placed in His hands. This moment is complete. Let your body fully rest. Let your mind remain quiet. Let your spirit settle into the peace that is now holding you. And as this night carries you gently into sleep, remember this is only the beginning. Tomorrow, the journey continues. A deeper step, a quieter trust, a new surrender waiting for you. For now, rest.